All right, so back again. Let's talk about BIOH111 in particular, and how all the bits that we are talking about in BIOH111 fit together into one big picture. Okay, so BIOH111, you're going to have 7 modules, and the first module that you're going to start off with is cells. And cells are basic units, basic level of organization, okay, of you, of me, of plants, of animals, okay. Now, having said that, even though the cells organize themselves into tissues and then into organs and system organs, the basic functions of the cells themselves is what drives that further organization levels, okay. So, like it or not, we're all just a bag of cells, and we need to know what these cells do and how they do what they do. So in the first module, you're going to be introduced to what is a cell, what it has around it, what it has in it, what sort of function it can perform, and how is it making specific functions to help body do what it does, okay? Then we're going to spend a session on tissues. There's 4 principal tissue types, and we're going to, in this session, we're going to cover 2 of them. The other 2 we're going to cover, one in muscular system, because muscle tissue is one principal tissue type, and the other one is nervous system, because nervous tissue is another principal tissue type. So once you had that grounding on what cells are, what they do in a sort of broad way, every cell in the body does this, how they divide, how they die, that sort of, broad overview of cells themselves, and then how they fit together into different tissue types, then we're going to go and cover specific systems. Now, the first system that we're going to cover is called integumentary system, and this is basically your skin. Then we're going to go quite a bit deeper and talk about skeletal system. Then we're going to talk about the muscle system, nervous system, and we'll finish off with the endocrine system. Okay. Those 4 systems, in particular, the particular module for a specific system is always going to start with the overall function of the system. So, what is the function of endocrine system? What is the overall function of integumentary system? Okay, those particular functions are extremely important for you, because what you're going to do as you go through that module is you're going to slot in structures that are actually putting forward these functions, overall functions of the system. So, for example, what is it about integumentary system that gives it protection? What structure do you have in integumentary system that provides that protection to your body? Or, for example, what is it within the nervous system, for example, that allows you to sense things, to smell, to touch, to feel pain? Okay? So you're going to be looking at sort of this structure-function relationship literally from day one. So I want you to have this concept of both structure and function constantly in your head, and we'll start with that literally from this first session. Okay. Each of the systems modules will also start by outlining the specialized cells. Now, I know that we have a cell module. The cell module gives you sort of a broad overview of this is what cells are, this is what they have inside, this is what each part does, this is what it builds into when it comes to the overall functions of the cells and how it performs things, okay? However, when you look at the nervous system, it will contain, even within one system, it will contain 2 different types of cells. One cell type that you all know and love are neurons, and you know what they look like. But even within the nervous system, you also have a different cell type, and that's called those are called supporting cells. And there's a whole bunch of these. And what they're there for is to support the function of neurons. Okay. So every system will have specialized cells that are important to understand what they do themselves, to understand the overall functions of the specific system. Each module will also cover appropriate gross anatomy of the system. So, for example, you'll learn a few bones, you'll learn brain parts, for example, you'll learn a few muscles. Muscles that you will learn are really all about that are going to help you locate certain points when it comes to clinical examination. Those of you who are myotherapy and acupuncture students, you will also take this grounding of particular muscle and bone and joints in particular, and you will leave that and you'll use that in your own disciplines, okay? You will build on that within your own disciplines. Now, each module also covers specialized physiology concepts. What does that mean? It means, for example, how is it that muscle contracts? That's a specialized physiology, specialized function of only muscle cells, of only muscle tissue. How is it that that's being done? How is that regulated? How is that controlled? How is that actually performed? So all of the modules are going to have some specialized physiology concepts that are only relevant for that particular system. So how is muscle contracting? How are the hormones being secreted? How is it that your exocrine gland will give you protection for against and regulate thermoregulation? How is it that that's done? Okay, these specialized physiology concepts that you're going to encounter just in particular system. Okay, so that was your broad overview of content of BIOH111. What is it that we're trying to assess you on? The first assessment that you're going to go for is the quiz, and it's in week 5, anytime in week 5. This is an online quiz that is open for a week. You need to find 50 minutes somewhere in that week of quiet time where you're going to have you have to answer 40 questions. So 50 minutes, 40 questions, 40 questions. The sessions that are going to be covered are only cells and tissues. And the weighing of the quiz is 20% out of the overall BIOH111 mark. Now, one important info that I wanted to sort of get past you is that there is a practice quiz that is going to open in week 4. And this practice quiz is there to allow you to, it's designed in a way that points to little holes that you're not quite understanding, okay? So if you have those holes, please go fill them. If you don't understand something, try the loop, try your online academic. If you're still struggling, go for the textbook. If you're still struggling, remember that student services phone call that I talked about before. Ask for group tutorials, ask for one-on-one, okay? The second assignment is written assignment, and this is quite a little, it's a 1,000-word assignment that is due in break week on a Sunday at 11:55 p.m. And there is a specific session that's designed to support this assignment. I'm going to run a webinar for that particular session for you guys. So keep your eyes peeled on the notice board, because I will put those times on the notice board. Concept map is one of those assignments that you're going to have to start today. Okay, it's worth 20% of your overall mark, and all sessions are covered in the concept map. It's submitted in week 13, so all the way at the end of the BIOH111, but it's an ongoing assessment. What does that mean? It means that it's designed for you to be constantly integrating your BIOH111 knowledge as you go through the semester. Okay. So when we start today with your cells, what are they, what they have inside, what are they actually doing. I want you to go to, once you've listened to me speaking, I want you to go to the concept map guidelines. I want you to make sure that you download your concept map software called CMAP software, and I want you to start putting the concepts that are relevant for that session together into a map. Okay? There's a feedback loop that's provided in weeks 5, 9, and 12, and the feedback loop is there just to provide you feedback on your maps. You need to submit in week 13 3 separate maps, and in week 5 you can submit map 1 for feedback. In week 9 you can submit map 2 for feedback, and in week 12 you can submit map 3 for feedback. Okay, the way to do that is outlined in the guidelines, and also once your online academic has looked at this, what they're going to do is they will convert it into a PDF, do little scribbles on the PDF, and then upload that feedback back to you so that you can incorporate that feedback into your map and learn from that feedback for the next map. Okay? Remember that structure-function relationship. It's extremely important. That is going to be reiterated as you go through BIOH111. So make sure that it is actually visible in your maps. Okay? The map itself is there for 2 reasons. One is I fully appreciate the fact that you have this enormous content that you need to learn, but you also need to learn it in a different language. You know, a biology language is slightly different to normal English language. Okay, so the map itself is actually forcing you to be constantly engaged with this language and constantly have sort of a few bits and pieces that you kind of go, oh yeah, okay, this is how you say things. This is how you name this structure versus this structure. Okay, so the language is constantly reiterated with the maps. But the other reason for the concept maps is that I would really, really hate, as a subject coordinator for BIOH111 and as a lover of biology, I really would hate if you left BIOH111 thinking that biology is linear. So that, you know, you have a little content that you have to learn, and you learn that in isolation to everything else. Now, I'm not saying that the little content, the little concept that you need to learn in isolation is not important. It absolutely is. But you also need to understand, how is that fitting within the bigger scheme of things? You know, how is that fitting? How is it that nervous system is also important in your skin? How does that compete? How does that link together, for example? Okay, even though I'm going to talk about skin in one session and a nervous system in a completely different session. So you need to make sure that you're connecting those two together. Okay, so language of biology and non-linearity of your body is really what is driving this concept map. It's going to help you, but you need to start it now. The final exam is worth 45%. All sessions are included into final exam, and I have to say that the sessions themselves are absolutely supported by the tutorials. Okay, so tutorials for each session will contain not just the pictures that I'm going to be using for matching part B, but also it will contain specific questions from that particular session that may end up on the exam in part C. Okay, so please make sure that you're working around those questions, that you understand what I'm asking you with those questions, that you're constantly thinking about, how is it that I can improve this, how is it that I can understand this a little bit better, and write them out. Now, having said that, I will not provide model answers for the final exam questions, because that would defeat the purpose of it. However, you are more than welcome to have that conversation on the loop with your online academics, as well as with all your other peers. Okay? So tutorials for the final exam, extremely important. Concept map for the final exam, extremely important. Both of those tools are really supporting you to come to that final exam as prepared as possible. Okay? How do you study for BIOH111? As I said, language of biology is something that concept map will definitely drive. But you also are recommended to make yourself a little dictionary of words as you go through your semester, that in your own words are explaining what is it that that particular word is. So I have an example here of a lysosome, which we'll encounter pretty early on in the next session. And you write yourself, what is it that this lysosome is? For example, I've put in my words organelle inside a cell that's responsible for breakdown of waste. You can do it in any other way, but having that dictionary is going to help you go through the sessions, especially when I start talking about things sort of later down the track that I assume you already know the words for. Okay. The other thing that I wanted to say is the structure-function relationship. It's really, really important for you to have these two concepts constantly in your head, okay? Your body has anatomy and physiology. Anatomy is structure. How is that something looks like? And physiology is function. What is it that particular structure is doing? Okay, so that structure-function relationship, a very tightly bound relationship, is something that you'll constantly have in your BIOH111. Okay, concepts. Sometimes you'll have these step-by-step approaches. So how muscle contraction is regulated, for example, you'll literally have step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. But how is it that you're actually integrating that regulation into a bigger scheme of your body is what concept map is helping you with. Okay, and I've talked about that already. I can't stress enough how organized you have to be. Your online students, you know that your organizational skills are extremely important, but I also need you to understand that you have help if needed. Okay, make sure that you ask your online academic, that you ask your student services for extra help. Ask your peers for something that you're struggling with. We're here to help. Okay. I hope that helps you put BIOH111 into a little bit more of a context. And the next time you're going to see me is the actual session we're going to start with, and that's cell biology, and we're going to talk about cells in general. See you then.